Yeah, we're good. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check, check, check. Good, good, good. Can you guys hear me? Once you start hearing me talk in the chat, do me a favor, put a 1. So we make sure we get the audio in here for you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Bullion Dollar Studio. That's messed up, bro. Dave Flowers, that's messed up. I don't appreciate that comment. It is pretty funny though. Our tech team's working on the audio, guys. So if you can hear me, do me a favor, drop a 1 in the chat. That way we know audio's back. Okay, good. All right, audio's back. Gina, can we go ahead and push? Can we push Black Magic through and let's get the show going? There we go. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. What I was saying when I was coming in prior to the audio being down was shout out to the production team for getting that solved so quickly. If you guys know anything about live streaming, audio is a complete nightmare. But I was saying, Rob's not here today, and well, we got Thor's hammer, and I'm kind of starting to think maybe Thor came in here, didn't like the setup, and completely ruined our audio. But anyways, what I was trying to show you guys on BTC, and we'll get into the chart here, and then what I was trying to say is we have a special guest joining us today, Mark from Efani. They specialize in cybersecurity, and so we know a lot of people have been getting hacked, have been getting SIM swapped, and so he's going to talk to us about the importance of cybersecurity. But we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about Ethereum. We're going to talk about Chainlink. The Genius bill officially passed the Senate. Now it goes to the House, and then the president's going to sign it. It looks like everyone is eager to sign that Genius bill and get it going. But what I was showing here on Bitcoin, this is on the 5-minute. We did have a breakout of our falling channel here. Also got a green dot on Market Cipher B. And then I was showing Market Cipher A as well. We're trying to get the audio fixed. We did have a reversal of trend there from our downtrend back up, as you see the blue triangle there. And so BTC, at least in the very, very low time frames, is looking fairly well. Now, as far as a trade setup, what you're going to want to do is wait for that retest. If we get it at 104,269, we are seeing increasing volume on this move up. So Bitcoin showing a little bit of strength on the lower time frames. Do me a favor, guys, like the video. Also, I am asking you for your help. I need you all. I have an AMA questions, a Q&A queued up. I need you guys to drop questions in there. If you know me, you guys know I don't like to ramble. I like to banter back and forth. Well, today I'll be rambling a lot, and so I need your help. So do me a favor, cast your vote in the poll, but also drop your questions in the AMA, and I will get to as many as possible today. Poman, thank you very much. He said good to go. And those of you that text me, thank you for the heads up on the audio. Okay, let's get into the news. This is a big piece of news here. This is from posted by Eleanor Tourette, a message from the president to the House following the Senate's passage of the Genius Act. Get it to my desk ASAP. No delays, no add-ons. You know, it feels like we've just had vote after vote after vote. It's got to pass this vote. It passed the Senate, but wait, that was only a cloture vote. Now it passes. It's done with the Senate. Now it goes to the House. The House has to sign. And Crick Catch, you said, I thought House was first. I'm not a poli-sci expert. I thought the House was first as well. But I think it's like House creates it, sends it to the Senate. Senate, adds, subtracts, sends it back to the House. And it's pretty much a back and forth until the cloture vote happens. Once that happens, final voting in the Senate, and then it apparently goes back to the House. Once the House approves, it goes to the president's desk to sign it into law. This was posted by President Trump on Truth Social. The Senate just passed an incredible bill that is going to make America the undisputed leader in digital assets. Tell me why I wanted to say that in Bruce Buffer's voice. The undisputed leader in digital assets. Nobody will do it better. It is pure genius. Pun intended. Digital assets are the future, and our nation is going to own it. We are talking about massive investment and big innovation. The House will hopefully move lightning fast. A lot of innuendos in here. Lightning fast, lightning network. And pass a clean Genius Act. Get it to my desk ASAP. No delays, no add-ons. This is American brilliance at its best. And we're going to show the world how to win with digital assets like never before. Now, if you're in crypto, this is very exciting. Now, if he can only stop tweeting dumb shit to make the markets go down, that'd be great. And we can enjoy all these great things that are happening in the Senate and the House and the president and this and that. But that's TBD. Then we have this from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent recent reporting projects that stablecoins could grow into a $3.7 trillion market by the end of the decade. That's the next 5 years. I believe that number is going to be higher. Now, who am I to go against Scott Bessent? He's the guy making videos on YouTube. But $3.7 trillion, I know that is a lot of money, but I just can't see. We saw Visa stock, I don't want to say plummet, but it went down fairly substantial amount. Same with MasterCard. And well, is it a coincidence that we have the Genius Act that passed the Senate? Everyone is bullish on stablecoins. You have companies like I believe it's Steak and Shake or Shake Shack. One of the ones that just started accepting Bitcoin. They're like, look, this is great. We're saving 50% on fees when we take Bitcoin as payment instead of Visa or MasterCard or American Express. It's a direct competition to those giants, the Visas, the American Express, and the MasterCards. And so everyone's trying to get in. Walmart and Amazon are rumored to launch their own stablecoin. You also have JP Morgan Chase, who said crypto is, it's, I don't know, did he say rat's poison or that was Charlie? Anyways, these boomers, rat's poison, it's a pet rock. Oh, pet rock, that was Jamie Dimon. But either way, at the end of the day, when there's trillions dollar opportunities in front of you, you're not going to say no matter how you feel, especially if you're in the business of making money. You're going to see a lot of them. And here's what's going to happen, in my opinion. And I haven't read over this Genius Act. I don't know exactly the verbiage, the vernacular, and who can apply and get one. Do you have to be certified by a bank? Do you have to run through certain checks and balances? I don't know. But what I will tell you is the banks are going to push for something like that so they can have an upper hand. You look at something like Tether right now, and this is what I saw on social media, and I haven't really dug in. So if I'm wrong, please in the chat, correct me. But as of right now, Tether wouldn't fit the guidelines to be a verified stablecoin. I don't even know what the lingo they use. Circle would, and I'm sure a bunch of other ones would. Yeah, Bank of America wanted to launch a stablecoin. So it's going to start heating up. And guess what? When you have dollars in your accounts and you put them in CDs, money market funds, they use that money to make more money and then they pay you a little bit. They're going to do the same thing with stablecoins. So your focus, your crystal clear focus, you should be tunnel visioned on which projects in cryptocurrency, right? Which layer ones, which dApps allow institutional level earning and yield on stablecoins. And I've said this numerous times on the show over the last 3 months, and we'll go over them in a little more detail. But back to the post here by Treasury Secretary Bessent. A thriving stablecoin ecosystem will drive demand from the private sector for U.S. treasuries, which back stablecoins. This newfound demand could lower government borrowing costs and help rein in the national debt. It could also on-ramp millions of new users across the globe to the dollar-based digital asset economy. It's a win-win for everyone involved, the private sector, the treasury, I think most importantly, the consumers. These are the fruits of smart pro-innovation legislation. So, as mentioned, institutional grade stablecoin yield. The first one that comes in my mind is asymmetry finance. Now, this has had some brutal price action. Its market cap is sitting at under $10 million. Now, of course, very risky, but what gives me a little bit of, I guess, peace of mind. You don't see this too often, right? Backed by Fidelity. Not used by Fidelity, but backed by Fidelity, meaning they put their money where their mouth is. They put their money where, well, this project is. Also, Republic Capital, Frax, and Side Door Ventures. But obviously, the big one here is Fidelity. Stablecoins your way. Borrow with your Bitcoin and yield-bearing stablecoins at user-set fixed interest rates. Again, 10 million market cap, and this TVL, according to the website, is sitting at $28 million. So a little bit of discrepancy when it comes to token price and actual value on the platform. This is one to keep your eye on. Super low cap. Could have potentially really, really high upside. Can this thing go to 500 million to $1 billion? Sure. They got to grab a lot of market share, and we'll see where this thing goes. But at the end of the day, I believe it's a no-brainer that these banks and the people that are hoarding these stable coins are going to look for a way to earn yield on those as they do with dollars. Now, the other ones, and I'll go over this really quick. The one I'm, I guess, in order, I'd say CVX is probably my biggest bag when it comes to stable coin plays. And this one's sitting at $2.65, $260 million market cap. So a little less upside, but a little more security as far as, hey, what's the risk? Is it too high? Is it too low? So Convex Finance, this one's sitting at $2.65. You take a look over the last 1 month. It is down 18% over the last 7 days, down 3%, and down 35% over the last 1 year. I stacked some. I think my cost basis was a little under $2, like $1.70 or $1.60. So we're doing fairly well. And this is something we also put on our Patreon as well. So it's going to wet my beak a little bit. Sound like Mr. Wonderful. So if you're not part of our Patreon, you would have gotten the notification or the write-ups to really look at projects like this one. All right. I want to take a peek. Here. Let's see if you guys threw any questions in the chat. Okay. Again, guys, I do have an AMA up. Make sure you throw your questions in there. I will get to those as quickly as possible. And then the other one I'll note, and there's a few other ones, but the three main ones for me are going to be Curve, Convex, and Asymmetry Finance. So those are the ones I'm bullish on. This one's sitting on a $795 million market cap over the last 1 year. This one's up 77%. So you look at where the value is. You look at what the pitch is and what vertical they're in, and obviously, what's your utility pitch? What do you do? What makes you stand out? And so these are the three for me: Asymmetry Finance, Curved Out, and Convex. Do not fade stable coins. Do not fade institutional products for stable coins. That would be my piece of advice to you. And here you go. Speaking of JP Morgan Chase, JP Morgan to pilot deposit token JPMD on Base. Now, a lot of people looked at this and said, why not Ethereum? Why not Solana? Interesting, Base. So then the question is, okay, you're talking about one of the largest banks. I think they're top 5 in the entire world. And we're talking about them launching a coin and it's on Base. Base has no token. So by proxy, what is the best way to get exposure if you're bullish on this type of news? It is to hold the Ethereum token. Don't you agree, Thor's Hammer? Ethereum is probably going to be one of the better performers of this year. Yeah, I think Thor said, yeah, you couldn't see him, but the hammer was shaking. Yeah, so Thor's communicating through the hammer via lightning. You just couldn't see it. But he said, yeah, unlike my co-host who thinks Ethereum's dog crap. But JP Morgan will launch a pilot for a token called JPMD that represents dollar deposits at the world's largest bank. At the world's largest, are they the world's largest bank? As financial institutions deepen their push into the digital asset sector, in a transaction expected to take place within days, JP Morgan will move a fixed amount of JPMD from the bank's digital wallet to the biggest U.S. crypto exchange, Coinbase. Now, the question is, who's the middleman? We're going from JP Morgan to Coinbase. Who is the middleman? And that middleman, my friends, is Chainlink. Chainlink surpasses $20 trillion in transaction value enabled. As the standard for on-chain finance, we're enabling the next evolution of global markets. Take a look at this chart, just been going up and to the right since January of 2022. Guys, when you look at a project like Chainlink, and we can actually look at the price action here. Let's take a look at the Link token. $13.11. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom out to the weekly. We'll start on the weekly and we'll work our way down. Well, speaking of charts in TA, guys, I'll be running the stream on Sistine today, right after the show. So come join me for some charts in TA. Oh, this would have been a really, really, really nice trigger wave here if we got that green dot in that. But so here, I'll just kind of explain what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a potential anchor wave, trigger wave setup for an entry on a long. But one, our momentum wave didn't cross our OS1 line, and two, this trigger wave is too big. We need it to be a lot smaller, something like this, or even smaller if we can look back, something like this. And so we're not getting that yet, but who's to say that we won't, I don't know, maybe this will come back down to that oversold 1 level, and then we'll get that trigger wave later. But for Chainlink price action, let's take the 200-day MA. Currently trading at its 200-day moving average ribbon, so it needs to hold. You can see we had a slight dip, but an immediate V-shaped recovery here for Chainlink. As you can see, we dipped below our 200-day MA band. We came right back up, broke above it, and now we're kind of consolidating. I could see Chainlink consolidate and then see a big move to the upside, depending on the overall market sentiment at the time. Who knows what we're going to see with global tensions and everything going on overseas. But Chainlink is one that I have in my, let's just throw it in the portfolio, keep it for 10 years, and you don't got to worry about it. So, yeah. And I did want to go over this as well before we bring on our guests. Today, we're announcing the Global Markets Alliance, a historic alliance of leading wallets, exchanges, and custodians to bring capital markets on-chain and set standards for the interoperability of on-chain stocks. This alliance includes Solana Foundation, BitGet, Jupiter, Trust, Rainbow, BitGo, Fireblocks, 1inch, and Alpaca. Don't know what Alpaca says. More to come. So Ondo is looking to be the great connector here, very similar to what Chainlink is looking to do. And so that is something just to keep your eye on. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll I have up here, right? Do you worry about your cybersecurity? And looks like, I believe it was what, 58% of you said you are. I am as well, especially because I do have a platform on YouTube, on social media. And, you know, we do a show, we talk about our bags, what we're holding, what we bought, at what price. And so it's something that definitely worries me, which is why I'm very excited to have a very special guest on the show today. The gentleman's name is Mark. He's from Efani. And if you've never heard of Efani, you're going to want to pay attention. And so I'm excited to have him on. Mark, welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk with you. Excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Absolutely. You know, Mark, we'll get an intro here in a second, but I want to show this on the screen. And if you want to give your input or react to this, Mark, I'd love it. If not, totally understand. This was posted by Mehdi, okay? 1 minute I was prepping for a Zoom call. 10 minutes later, a large part of my life savings were gone. It started with a message on Telegram from Alex Lin, someone I knew. He wanted to catch up. A few minutes before the call, he asked to switch to Zoom Business for compliance reasons, said one of his LPs would be joining, which the guy also knew. Given we were doing a lot of treasury deals and we were genuine LP interests, it didn't seem out of the ordinary. I joined the Zoom, no audio. But I could see both of them. They messaged me in the chat, can you hear us? They told me to update Zoom to fix the audio issue. That's when it happened, when I update. 6 wallets drained. My laptop compromised completely. Years of savings gone in minutes. I found out that Alex's account has been hacked. And the worst part, while my wallet was being emptied, the hacker kept chatting on Telegram like nothing was wrong. It was surreal and completely violating. Turns out it was compromised by the DPRK, aka North Korea, as an affiliated threat known as Dangerous Password. Why am I showing you this? Because I'll be damned if I sit by, don't tell you guys what the hell's happening, and we get an email or we get someone in the chat from our community saying, guys, I got hacked. Everything I worked for over the last 6 years, 7 years is completely gone. That is definitely something that we want to avoid. And so, guys, be overcautious, extremely overcautious, even if it's people you think you know. They're asking you to do something weird, don't do it. And so with that being said, Mark, before I ask you for an intro, my friend, any thoughts on this? And I don't know if you want to lend some expertise to this and maybe give some people some pointers on what they can do to protect themselves?
Yeah, this is just one of the very creative ways that hackers are getting at people in the last 90 days. We've seen, a number of different creative type attacks, but this could be somebody that says hey, I want to partner with Efani. I want to learn about your program, sends me an email. We set up a time. They send me a Zoom link, and it's most likely a fake Zoom link, right?
Yeah.
And so I click on it thinking I'm joining Zoom, but I'm actually joining a Zoom copy that's got code that's going to run on my computer and get passwords. If you got passwords in your browser and things like that, that's going to steal information from you. And it's just one of many ways that these hackers are trying to get at people.
It's really scary, Mark, and I am overcautious. Sometimes I would call it paranoid. But Mark, For the people that don't know about you and Efani, can you maybe give us a brief intro?
Yeah, so my name is Mark Kreitzman. I've been building cybersecurity companies since around 2001 with an email solution, web solution, and now I've been dedicated to mobile for the last 8 or 9 years, mobile security, that is. And I was a mobile hack victim myself in 2018. I was so angry and pissed off. I was doing my own crypto project and they took down my website. I got SIM swapped and I figured somebody had to solve this. So I found the only person on the planet that had solved it. He ended up being part of a small group that was building a really big Bitcoin ATM network. So I was into Bitcoin. We hit it off, and I said, "Hey, this is what I do. I'd like to help you build this." And 6 years later, we've been profitable for a couple of years. We've got thousands of customers, some of the biggest crypto influencers, a lot of big names, and it's been a lot of fun turning something that's very torturous because you don't really outlive this. Once you're hacked, you sort of live with it. And I have to think about the 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin that got stolen from me at that time. And every day I wake up, when Bitcoin rises, I do the math, and I don't want other people to go through that.
Sounds like that's kind of what drives you, though, right? Drives you to make sure it doesn't happen to other people. That's just kind of what I would
It
like.
started out to be a lot of anger that drove us for the first 2 or 3 years, and now we're enjoying it, and it keeps us busy. And boy, did you pick a good day to schedule this with this major hack that just went on. Um, and then just to let people know, so what Efani does is we sell a mobile service where we resell AT&T and Verizon. We provide SIM swap security, insurance, and keep people safe from the SIM swaps. So
Now, now,
it's a very dangerous hack.
what is a SIM swap? Like, what does that even look like? How is that possible? Is anyone at risk, or is there things people can do to not get swim swapped? And Mark, before you answer that question, I mean, the freaking SEC account got SIM swapped. You guys remember this?
Yeah.
The hacker faces a 2-year sentence, and this caused, I think, billions of dollars in the market to move because the announcement was, hey, the ETF got approved, Bitcoin rallied. Somebody made a crap load of money. Others lost a crap load of money. And again, this is the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States. So if they're getting SIM swapped, we can't sit here and think that we're not susceptible to that. So, but Mark,
With the
what
new
is a
US
SIM swap? How does it
Smartly
even
Visa
work? What do they
signature
do?
card. You can earn an unlimited
Jesus Christ. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So that was obviously somebody at the SEC who managing the X.com account for the SEC got SIM swapped. Simple SIM swap. They take over the social media and can cause all kinds of havoc. So it's not only individuals, but it's businesses as well. But everybody knows really what a SIM swap is in the sense that if you've ever upgraded your phone, so let's say you have an iPhone 8 and you go to the phone store, you get the iPhone 16, and you say, okay, now I want to have my phone line, my phone service switched over to the iPhone 16. That is what's a legal SIM swap, and most of us have been through that. Now, what the hackers are doing is that same process, except what they're doing is getting the phone store employee or their customer service. They could have an insider. They could be bribing people. You could be part of a SIM swap gang inside of a carrier. And what they're doing is they are getting your carrier to switch the mobile account that's pointing at your phone over to the SIM or eSIM that's in the hacker's phone. And they could be your next door neighbor. They could live above you. You could have just met them that morning at the Bitcoin conference, or they could be thousands of miles away. In fact, they could be in a different country and target you. And that's the scary thing about these data breaches that you see when there's like a hospital data breach and they say, oh, don't worry about it. We got it under control. And they don't want the liability of it because they just want people to go away, be quiet. And then 6 months later, 12 months later, people are getting SIM swap from the data that was stolen. And then some of you may have already seen this, but in the last couple hours, the announcement came out that there were 16 billion passwords, actually credentials that were released. And this is like massive news. I haven't digested the whole thing technically, but our team is definitely taking a look at this so that we can educate our customers. And these are supposedly 16 billion new credentials.
This is
And that's just crazy.
like uh, we like we hear the word billion and trillion thrown around a lot, right? 16 billion guys. There's only 8 billion people in the world, and you can say 50% maybe have access to like an internet or a phone, right? I don't know. Obviously, I'm just throwing around numbers out there. That is a lot. And we're talking about the largest tech companies in the entire world. Apple, Facebook, Google, and all your passwords and all this, sign keys and protect this and protect that. 16 billion, and that info was out there. So, Mark, any suggestions for the people that might be panicking and seeing this? Any suggestions you would give them to make sure they're as secure as possible, I guess?
Yeah, well, one thing is that the only way they can get 16 billion of anything in the digital world is if they've actually hacked and gotten access into the big companies themselves. And right now, what they're pointing to is that there's this Apache vulnerability on two technologies called Elasticsearch and block group dating or something like that. And so these are not the only way to get 16 billion is this has to be new data that they stole from Apple and Telegram and Facebook and Google. So the only thing that we can do is immediately go and protect yourself with two-factor authentication. If you've got crypto, then make sure you're using a hardware wallet or cold wallet where the passphrase or the seed is not kept in a cloud storage location, and because that's awful scary. There's all kinds of tips where it's like if you're typing on your browser and it's like and it fills in your password automatically, it's completing your sentences, then you may be using a browser in a insecure way where if somebody were to hack into your browser, they can get that information. With Efani, we're a niche provider for your security, and our job is to protect you from ever getting your mobile account stolen away. And so we use ourselves 11 layers of verification to make sure that whoever calls us claiming to have ownership of that account, that we actually verify them and go through steps. Everything we do is human, and then we back it up with a $5 million insurance policy. But if you've got accounts that are not backed up by 2FA, YubiKeys, and things like that, then I would immediately go and make sure that you establish that. If you've got accounts where it's just a login and password, then you're open to you're very vulnerable. And then also a lot of people use the same login for a lot of different accounts, the same password and same PIN number. So the odds are that if you use the same PIN number and email for multiple accounts, then you're setting up bowling pins for these hackers. So you just want to do what you can to close things down.
Awesome. Now, Mark, what makes Efani different from what anyone else is doing in the space? And then how long has a company? I think you mentioned 7 years with Efani. So I guess you already answered that question.
Yeah, we're just over 6 years old. Yeah, we're just over 6 years old. And what makes us different? So you could go buy AT&T directly, and or you can buy from AT&T, or you can buy AT&T through Efani. And so there's a couple things that make us different. So one is that when you buy from AT&T or any of the carriers, they have your payment information, your verification information, but they also have your social security number, your birth date. You're basically opening a credit account, and that's part of the danger. And because these stores are part of the vulnerability, because a lot of them are owned by AT&T, but a lot of them are independent. Same for T-Mobile and Verizon and all of them. And who knows what kind of background checks they're doing for employees in these stores. And a lot of the people that work in the stores are people that are actually, recording the verification as you give it to them. So they could have cameras and things to record that, and then SIM swap you later. Now, what's different about us is that all the carriers and resellers and independent retail stores have portals in to be able to move your account around. So if somebody wants to move to Efani, you just give us 3 bits of information, and we can move you over to Efani without talking to your carrier or you talking to your carrier. And that's the dangerous part about it. And that's how easy it is. But when we move you over to Efani, we're unplugging you from all of those portals that all these resellers and stores have access to. And from that point on, we're doing everything manual. And so a lot of people, our customers, will say, well, yeah, I love your tech. Your tech's great, keeps me secure. But But actually, what we've done is we've taken the mobile service, we've stripped out all the free stuff because that's just stealing your data, selling your data like free Disney and Hulu and Netflix. So we don't do any of that. And but we're unplugging you from that, so no other carrier can have just a couple bits of information on your Efani account and then pull you out. And so if you want to do a risky transaction like port out of Efani, we're going to take you through 11 layers of verification, and we're going to do most of that manually. And then we actually allow people to do a custom step. So you can have 12 steps to secure your mobile account. So we're keeping your information private from the carriers because we're not giving AT&T or Verizon your address, and we don't store your social security number and your birth date. And so the store employees can't steal your data just by simply knowing your number and looking it up. And then we back it up with a $5 million insurance policy. And so at the most basic level of what we do is we resell AT&T and T and Verizon, and then our job is to make sure that insurance plan is never used. We've never had a SIM swap. We've got some of the biggest targets in not only crypto, but we've got people from Hollywood, professional athletes. I get every once in a while I get to have a great video one-on-one call with some people that I've watched on TV play basketball and football or be a musician. And but it's a lot. It's a mix of about 80% of our customer base. The main pattern is that they are into crypto or they're investors and they have money to lose, crypto to lose, reputation. They don't want to be blackmailed, and there's all kinds of things that happen. SIM swaps can happen because you're getting a divorce, and they hire a private detective and they want to win the case. But
Nowadays it's it's never a bad idea to be overcautious. So from a consumer's end, like let's say me, I'm like, okay, Mark, I like what you're saying. I have a significant amount of money. What does it even look like? Do I go to the website and then do I get the service and then you guys do everything else? Does it mean I have to like cancel the AT&T plan? Like, what's the process like of someone who's interested in maybe getting it set up?
yeah, so all of our sales are done online, and that's to keep it encrypted and secure. And even within Efani, when you purchase, there's a need to know in terms of even who even sees that data. And so it's very easy to purchase the service. You're basically just prepaying for either a month or a year's worth of time. You save almost 2 months of billing if you do the annual. You'll get an email confirming, thanking you for the purchase, and an activation link. And so you just simply click on that activation link, and you're going to have a call with one of our activation managers. And it's going to be a video call just like this. If you're okay to doing video, we love doing video because it builds sort of a relationship and trust into who Efani is. And then you also get to know people. And it's nice to know people that are providing your mobile service. And then it's going to be anywhere from a 5-minute call to a 20-minute call if the person comes prepared. And we're going to port your number over. We can also set you up with new numbers, but most of the people want to port their number over to Efani, and it's a pretty quick process. And once your number is moved over, so even if you're on AT&T and you move over AT&T, your account's basically being auto canceled with AT&T and then moved over to Efani. And we have to have control. We have to do that because we need to have complete control over your mobile service so that we can provide the insurance on it.
Awesome.
So it's a pretty simple process. And then once you're set up on Efani, you have the SIM swap security, you have you're more private in the sense of privacy from the carrier itself and all the stores. And then you have the $5 million insurance policy to guarantee any SIM swap losses. But we're going to make sure that you don't ever have that happen.
So once by the way, is it only you guys are working with Verizon and AT&T? What about T-Mobile?
We don't partner with T-Mobile. T-Mobile has more hacks than AT&T and Verizon. I don't know if it's because the Sprint T-Mobile merger didn't go so well, but they just seem to have more hacks, more data breaches, and more SIM swaps. And I don't want to pick on them just because mobile technology networks, they work globally. They're incredible. All of them are incredible. It's just they just tend to have from the data at least more hacks. So we resell AT&T and Verizon. And the other great thing, just so people understand the service you're getting, because it's not just AT&T. So let's say you have AT&T today, and then you choose AT&T with Verizon. You're getting voice, SMS, and data in US, Canada, Mexico, and you get 40 gigabits of the priority speed, and then it's unlimited after that. You're also getting hotspot with no sub limit, but we also enable Wi-Fi calling globally, which means that you could be in Bitcoin Beach, El Salvador, Bali, Indonesia, Bangkok, Thailand. If you're behind a Wi-Fi connection, people call you, then it's going to ring. You can answer it and it's free. You can also call back to the US for free. For the people that have the dual eSIM on your phone, we actually now have what we call a dual eSIM setup, where eSIM 1 is your voice, text, and data. So that could be AT&T on eSIM 1. And then we give you a complimentary data eSIM. It's a data-only eSIM for eSIM 2. And that roams between 3 or 4 different carriers, even if you're in the US. But if you were to go to Thailand, for example, as you move around the country, it's going to roam on True, DTAC, AIS. If you're in the US, then as you roam around the US or go to Mexico, it's going to move from T-Mobile to Verizon to AT&T. We've had customers that travel international and inside the US that say this is a game changer, because what it does is, for your data, at least, it expands your coverage. So as you roam out of an AT&T area and go into T-Mobile, you're gonna keep that connectivity. And same thing for another country. And somebody just called me up a couple days ago that they went to Mexico to tell me how they had an AT&T line, and they also had AT&T with Efani, and how that data SIM allowed them to get access where AT&T Direct would not allow them, because it switched to another provider in Mexico. So not only are you getting the security, privacy, and the insurance, but you're also getting this complimentary international data roaming, where you're getting free 10 wherever you go, vacation, business trip. The other thing that we also enable that's a very cool feature is that if you have the iPhone 13 and above, 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever new phones they have, because we enable Wi-Fi calling globally, the iPhone 13 and above have enabled this feature that works with that. And because we're giving you that complimentary data eSIM, it allows that phone to utilize that second data eSIM for Wi-Fi calling. So that means that for free, if you were to go to the UK, for example, you don't even need a Wi-Fi connection anymore. For no additional cost, you're going to be able to land in London and go to Bournemouth, wherever you're going to travel to, and you're going to be able to make and receive phone calls for free.
Wow.
So now we're becoming, if you're a traveler, now we're becoming even a much cheaper option with the security and the insurance.
No, I just got done, Mark. I just got done yelling at my wife for she made an international call. Her brother was visiting some country, and I was like, "What the hell's like $70?" So, Mark,
yeah. We have an add-on, so it's $15 a month. You can call all over the world, and that means if you have an iPhone 13 and above, and you add that plan, you could go to Germany and call locally in Germany, call over Europe, call all over the world, and for a small price, it's an incredible solution. We're starting to sign up like hedge funds, where we get, because crypto hedge funds in particular have people from Cayman Islands to Bali, Indonesia, and we can give them all a U.S. mobile number, and they'll typically have iPhones, and for a great price, they get the security, privacy. They can call each other, call locally, and it's an awesome solution. It's a no-brainer.
So you're saying I could have saved myself a week on the couch if I had the free calling?
In a sense, it could have. We could have made your month of Efani seem free.
My couch is not very comfortable. I need to get a new couch. The kids keep jumping on it. Mark, before I let you go, I want to ask you, what's your price prediction for Bitcoin this cycle? What are your thoughts? You got any?
Well, depends on what you define as a cycle, but I am very pro Bitcoin. 85% of my crypto, maybe more, is in Bitcoin. I have like 12% in XRP, and the rest is just sort of play money. It's the only thing I keep on, just Marjax and just playing around when I'm bored with some leverage trading. I think Bitcoin is going to be 150 to 160,000 by the end of the year.
By the end of the year, okay.
And,
I like that.
But
Mark,
I wouldn't bet on anything I say, but
Yeah, we're just giving our educated guesses, you know, because really no one knows unless it's that one KOL on Twitter who says they called every top and bottom every cycle so far. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I think this information you share with people is extremely important. So I would encourage anyone watching, if you want to stay up to date, go follow Efani on X. It's at Efani. And if you want updates on their services, we do have an affiliate link in the description of the video. You'll save $99 if you use our code. And so, again, this is something just like, I was talking to someone about life insurance. You don't know you need it until you actually need it. And when you figure out you need it, it's usually too late. And so I'm excited. We love what you guys are doing. And Mark, again, thank you for your time. And we look forward to maybe having you on again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me as a guest. Please, if you're going to buy Efani, use that URL, because if you go to Efani.com, you're not going to get any discount. And it allows us to understand where you came from, and that you, as you enter in Efani, that you got a decent education on what it is we provide, and that then we would know as the customers come in that they're familiar with exactly what it is that we're selling. So
absolutely
we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and enjoy the rest of your day, my friend. We'll see you next time.
All right, happy investing.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Man, that was good. I hope you guys took a lot from that. And we spent 20 minutes talking about the importance of protecting yourselves. And the reason for that is that reason. Well, speaking of protecting yourselves, this was very odd. Okay. We know what's going on with Iran and Israel. And obviously this is not a political show, so I'm not going to comment on what the hell's happening over there, unless it relates to crypto and Bitcoin. But Iran's biggest crypto exchange just got hacked. But listen to this. They didn't steal the money. It was $100 million worth. They burned it. They burned the money. Imagine getting $100 million and you just pour gasoline and you just throw a match in there and it's gone. On purpose, just to send a message. And so over 90 million was drained from Novitex, Iran's largest exchange with 6 million users. But instead of laundering it, the hackers sent the funds to vanity burner addresses. Money is now permanently inaccessible. This is messed up, man, because you're going after regular people. And again, I'm not going to comment too much on what's going on over there, but you're going after people's hard-earned money. This is kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of messed up. So what do you think, Thor's Hammer? You think that's messed up? Thor's Hammer said yes. You've been a really good co-host today. I'm very proud of you. We might have to keep you on and start paying you by the hour. The other guy's a little too loud and annoying. What? Yeah, he said, thank you very much. Yeah, this is great. Our production team's having a blast back there. Let's talk a little bit about ETH. Ethereum. How is ETH lower? It's like the question of the freaking year, right? How is ETH lower despite a record stretch of ETF inflows? Simple, record future shorts. And I know a lot of you in here have been watching our channel for a while, okay? Mark Yusko has been on our show, I think 4 times. The last 2 times he was here, he brought up, we asked him, what do you think is keeping the price of Bitcoin down? This was months ago, right? We also had him back on in January when the ETF just launched, or it was March or April, a few months removed from the ETF being launched. And this is exactly what he said. He said these hedge funds, venture capital, and the institutions, they're hedging. They're shorting the futures, they're longing the spot. And they're just taking money and they're arbitraging and just scalping the profits in the middle. We saw it with Bitcoin. We're seeing it with Ethereum. I think the biggest difference here, though, is Bitcoin is a capped supply. ETH is inflationary. Now, the way to beat that with Ethereum and get to the level that Bitcoin is, to where, hey, you can short the futures all you want, there's just too much buying happening, is if network activity starts to go up on Ethereum. Because if network activity starts to increase on ETH, that means the token then becomes deflationary. More is being burned than is being minted. At the inflows from the spot, you can try to arb the futures all you want, but the price is going to continue to go up. And so that's something to keep in mind. And I thought there was another ETH thing I had. Oh, that was gone. Oh, it was this one. And then we had this kind of followed up by this, right? Ethereum whales by $2.5 billion in ETH as price targets a $4,000 breakout. ETH holdings among the 1,000 to 10,000 wallet cohort now exceed 16 million. ETH-focused funds saw 583 million in inflows just last week. This marks the sharpest one-day increase in holdings for this wallet cohort since 2018, according to on-chain data. Now, this was from a day or two ago, so keep that in mind. But guys, JP Morgan launching on Base, that benefits ETH. Virtuals is on Base, which benefits ETH. Anything on Base benefits ETH because Base doesn't have a token. Just keep that in mind. RWA market share, 60% and higher. Keep that in mind. Stablecoin plays on ETH. Keep that in mind. Institutional on ETH. Keep that in mind. I think once we get the network activity, I think ETH is, you're going to want to have some exposure to Ethereum. I'll leave it at that. I do want to talk about this as well. We do have, to those of you in the Patreon, you guys know exactly what I'm doing with this project, and that project is DKING. We take a look. Let's take a peek at, let's pull up a DKING chart. Let's do that. Okay, so it's not on there. Let's pull up Dex Tools. We can look at it on Dex Tools. This thing absolutely skyrocketed off the news that we were going to get, that the hedge fund, right? $300 million went into DKING. You can take a look. This thing went up to $1.63. And it, fell like everything did. I think what was the drawdown here? From high to low, it fell 93%. Accumulating. If you did, congrats to you. And then we saw this massive spike in volume, and the project has just been crushing it. A 2x away from getting back to current highs. And this is a project, again, I did put out a Patreon post. I told you guys exactly what I'm doing with this project, what I'm allocating, how I'm allocating, when I'm allocating. So if you're part of the Patreon, you know exactly my plan. But this has been my biggest gainer in my portfolio, has been DKING. I know a lot of our community members are in DKING. We had Max on the show, and they were just actually featured in Forbes. It's from Forbes. Decentralized AI is watching and understanding everything. Max Septi, one of the team, the members over at Score, who obviously built DKING. And I'm telling you guys, 300 million is just the beginning. You're looking at 300 million invested, and this project has a market cap of $16.5 million. The math doesn't math. It just doesn't add up. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I do want to go to the Q&A section here. I know a couple of you threw some questions in the chat. Poman said, when you think this starts moving again sustainably, I'm thinking August, September. When you say this, I'm assuming you mean the crypto markets? Look, I'll be completely honest with you. Until we get a resolution, whether it's World War III breaking out or apparently Iran and the U.S., they've been negotiating and talking. If that gets settled, I think you're going to see it's the global uncertainty that I think is putting a lid on the current potential of the market cycle. You look at money market funds, the amount of money is there. That's all going to flow into risk on assets, including Bitcoin and crypto. So keep those things in mind. We need the Fed to cut rates, and you need global tensions to ease. And until then, you're going to see a lot of chop. You'll see some spurts to the upside, some washouts to the downside, but you'll mostly see chop. Until that happens, and then my God, it's going to be a face-melting rally. In my hero say, why are packages on ships called cargo and packages and cars called shipments? Can anyone answer that question? Because I don't know. No one knows. Thor's hammer? Nope. Thor's hammer has no idea either. Yeah. You're not very you're a lot more talkative before the camera's turned on, Hammer. But either way. Ethon said, where's Ashley? She worked Tuesday instead of today. And so, yeah. That'll do it for the show, guys. Thank you very much. I'll be hopping over to Sistine Trading to break down some charts and TA. So join me there if you enjoy it. All you got to do is just stay in the chat here, and you'll automatically be redirected. And then we'll be back here tomorrow, same time. Hopefully starting the show with audio, which seems like we will, but we'll make sure to double check it before we go live. It's crazy. When you do live production, literally anything could go wrong, and you're trying to figure out live in like minutes what the hell happened and how do I fix it. So big shout out to our technical team for getting that resolved fairly quickly. And with that being said, Gina.
SINCITY crypto.
Am I a joke to you? Am I a joke to you? She's laughing over there. It's messed up. See you guys over at
SINCITY crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control